data, and then we saw how we can make graphical representation of data in the form of histograms. First, before that, we did bar graphs and then histograms. Everything is clear about histograms and bar graphs? Is there any doubt with anyone regarding bar graphs and histograms? Say yes or no at least so that I know what your answer is going to be. Any doubts regarding histograms and bar graphs?
No, sir.
Sir, I have a doubt in histogram.
Tell me.
Sir, in histogram, when we draw from 0 to 10, we leave a gap and then we don't leave, right?
No, we don't leave a gap. Whenever you do 0 to 10, there is no gap.
Sir, from O point only?
For?
From O point only?
Just
Like
repeat
in the,
yourself.
like sir, in the book, it's like a gap here.
Which page is this?
Sir, it's 250.
Arpita, your voice is breaking up.
Sir, it's 250, page 250.
Sir, I think she is talking about kink.
The kink is that when the 0 to 10 is not there or 0 to 5 is not there, it starts from 30.5. Yeah, you see that?
Yes, sir, I can see the
So
kink.
when we start from 30.5, then there will be a kink because 0 to 35, the data is not available for us.
Okay, sir.
So then the kink comes. That's what we did last time. Remember that whenever we don't have 0 to something, that data is not there. So it will be not clear.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Just give me a second. Okay. So let's go ahead now. So we said that there are 3 types of graphs, right? What were the different type of graphs that we had? The graphical representation of data. Which were the 3 different ones?
So bar graph, histogram, and the
Sir,
polygon one.
frequency polygon.
Right, and the third one was frequency polygon, right? Okay. So now we've already done 2 of them. We've done already about bar graphs, and we have also covered about histograms, right? So the last one now we are doing is something which is called a frequency polygon. What exactly looks like a frequency polygon? Frequency polygon is nothing but the midpoints of the classes of each class in the frequency that we take up here. Okay, for example, let's say I have a histogram which is something like this. We have a kink here. This is 0 and it starts at, let's say, 25.5, 30.5, 35.5, 40.5, and 50, 40, 45.5, and so forth. Okay, so the first data that we do is looking like this. Then we have something like this, and then we have something like this. And obviously we have the scales over here. Okay, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so forth. Okay, now we already know this. Supposing this is now shows 6, this shows supposing 9, and this is supposing this is 4, right? This is the frequency. You know about this already. Now if we take the midpoint of this histograms, okay, and we connect them, what we get, and we take it from the previous one, the midpoint, because 25.5 to 30.5 no data is available. So we connect this to this point, and again we'll extend this here to 45.5 where there's no data available. From here we'll again connect it to this. So this line that you see is nothing but the frequency one. So this midpoints of the histograms connected are the frequency polygon. Is this clear, everyone? Okay, we'll take an example. Is this clear, everyone, so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's take an example now. Let's say we have this kind of a data which is there. Okay. So these are the marks obtained and the number of students who obtain these marks. Okay. So this is the data which is there. So we can make a frequency distribution table from this. Yes or no? So how would we do that? This would be the marks column. Sorry, this would be the number of students column. And on the x-axis, we would have the marks column, right? So what would we do? This goes to 100. So we'll have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100, right? You already know about how to make a histogram. So what would we do? The first one, one sec. So the first one would be 5 students. So from here we will have, I didn't make that, one sec. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Let's say like this. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Right? So now let's make the histogram. So 0 to 10, we have 5. So something it will be like this. I'm not filling it out. You can fill it out later. Then 10 to 20, we have 10. So it will be something like this. Then 20 to 30, we have 4. 30 to 40, we have 6. 40 to 50, we have 7. I'm sure you all can make this on your own also now. 50 to 60, we have 3. 60 to 70, we have 2. 70 to 80, again, we have 2. 80 to 90, we have 3. And 90 to 100, we have 9 students. Okay. So this is the histogram that we already know how to make. Yes. What we will do is we will find the midpoint of each of them. Okay. So the midpoint of this class would be from between 0 to 5. For 10 would be 5, right? So we will make a point here. We'll make a point in the midline here. Here. Okay, it will be here. And here. And we will connect them with dots, with a dotted line. Okay. Now we cannot keep a frequency polygon open. So what we will do is we will extend this backwards. And between 0 to 10, we will drop this to the midpoint of the preceding backward class. Same thing, we will make this further, right? So we will say something like 110, even though 110 is not possible, and we will connect this to the midpoint here. So this is very important. We cannot keep frequency polygon open ended. Okay. Remember this. They have to be connected to the x-axis. Is this clear? So this line that we get is nothing but the frequency polygon. Right? And we can always name them also. Actually, this only ends in the point on the x-axis here. So if we name, this will be point A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and L. Right? Right? This point, even though we have taken here, the point starts at O, A, B, C, and so forth till L. This is the frequency polygon. Starting at 0, going up till A, then B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Is this part clear? Please copy this down as an example. So this is when we have a histogram, and what we need to do is we need to convert it into a frequency polygon. That is the example of this, right? Any doubts, anyone so far? Quickly copy this down. This is an example of when we are using a histogram to make a frequency polygon.
Sir, so do we have to make a negative number line on the other side also?
Yes, yes, on the left hand side to virtually connect it over there. Because otherwise you will not know where the line will intersect B, right? For that reason, yes. Are you all done? Raise your hand, all those who have not finished so far.
So can you tell what you have written OA, BC, and then after that?
Dot, 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 dot till L. So all these points, this O, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L together make up the frequency polygon.
Okay, sir.
Okay, everyone done? Fine. Now, supposing we want to make a frequency polygon without making the histogram, because basically we want only the frequency polygon. We don't want the histogram, right? So how would we do that? So in this, what we would do is we will find the midpoint of the classes with something which is called as a class mark. What is class mark? Class mark is nothing but the upper limit plus the lower limit divided by 2. Okay. So it's the upper limit plus the lower limit divided by 2. Let's take another example. Let's remove this one. And I'll give you another table. Okay, so the total number of weeks and the cost of living index is given to us. So now what we will do is we will find a class mark for each of the classes. So what is the formula for class mark? So that what's the formula?
Sir, upper limit plus lower limit by 2.
So what will become the first one? What
Sir,
will be the class?
140 plus 150 by 2.
That will be?
Sir, 140 plus 150 equals to 290 by 2. So that will be 14.5.
That will be
14.5, sir.
14.5. How? 140 plus 150 is 290. 290 divided by 2 is?
Sorry, sir. Sir, I was calculating for 29. I forgot this.
Oh. So 145. Similarly, this will be 155, 165, 175, 185, and 195, right? Basically, what are we doing? When we have 140 to 150, the midpoint of them would obviously be 145, right? Same way, when we have 150 to 160, the midpoint becomes 155 and so forth. That's essentially what we've done. So what we do is now we make the class mark, right? And again, we make the same class as we have done earlier. So what we will do is we will make the x-axis and the y-axis again, right? What we will now do is the class mark starts at 145. So we will take one previous to this also. So we will take also 135. And similarly, we will take 205 also. Okay. So this is 0. We will have this kink because it's not starting from 0 to 140. The first class mark is the preceding one. So we'll have 135, 145, 155, 165, 175, 185, 195, 205 is the last one here, right? This is the cost of living index, and these are the weeks. And here again, we'll have how much does it go up to? 20. So I can take 2, yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. Is this clear, everyone? So far, what have I done? Remember, even though our class mark is 145, we take one previous to this. At the same time, we have 195 as last one. So we take the next one, which is 205 here also. Remember this one. Okay. Now what we will do is we will start marking it. So 135, what will be the value over here? Obviously, it will be 0, and even here it will be 0. Right? So what we do is our first mark will be 135, which is 0. Now 145, what is the mark? 5. So we will mark a point on 5. 155, we will mark a point on. Now 155, we have a mark on 10. So our 10th frequency will be somewhere around here. 165, we have 20. So 165, it goes up all the way till here, 20. 175, we have 9. So somewhere around here. 185, we have 6. So we go up here somewhere around approximately here. 195, we have 2. So that's approximate here. And the last one, 205, again will be on 0. Is this clear, everyone, so far? Right? And then what do? We connect this with a straight line now. Please remember this, instead of making it on a dotted line, if we have only this, then we connect it with a straight line. And we label them as usual. So this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Right? So the frequency polygon in our case again is now A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. So here you see we don't have to make the histogram directly, we just made the frequency polygon by making a class mark from the classes. Is this clear? Now again, frequency polygons will be used only when the data is in continuous, not non-continuous classes or discontinuous ones. Please copy this down. Have you all finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is a pretty easy chapter, but the only thing is you need to practice making these graphs and the data. Jyoti, am I audible to you now properly? Okay. Fine. So homework exercise 14.3, which works on all the 3 different types of graphs. Okay. You can finish this by Friday, I guess. Any doubts so far? Histograms, remember, if the class intervals are not the same, remember we need to adjust the frequency. Remember that. For example, if we have 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 40, and then again 40 to 45 and 45 to 50. These classes have to be adjusted. Do you remember we did this? Right? So this is one important one which we tend to overlook. So always remember to adjust it, adjust the frequency, and then proceed further. So even if they tell you to make a frequency polygon, adjust these frequencies and then continue further. Make the class intervals with the same width and the frequency there, what we've already done earlier. Okay, let's move ahead now. Now we have something which is called measures of central tendency. We have a lot of data, okay? But what good is that data if I cannot draw any inferences from it, or I cannot draw any summary from it? For example, I'll give you the total marks in your class of 60 students or 50 students. But if I don't know anything, only thing I know is the range, the lower limit and the upper limit. That's it, right? But what else can I know? So if I ask you a simple question, how was the overall performance of the children? Just by looking at the data, can I get to an answer? Can I? Yes or no? Everyone's sleeping today? No, right? Same way, if I tell you what is the, or among the students, the maximum marks or maximum students, around what range or what figure are they getting the values at or marks at? Again, we don't know any of these answers, right? So in this case, to draw some sense of the data, we have something which we call measures of central tendency. Okay. The most common measures of central tendency are mean, median, and mode. Right? So we will be looking at that. So the most common one is something which is called the mean, median, and the mode. Let's take the first one now. Mean means nothing but the average. Okay, you already have studied averages in school earlier. You've done it in maths. Mean is nothing but average, and it is denoted by the symbol called X, small x bar. This is small x, not big X. Let me rewrite it for you. Small x bar. This is represented as the mean. So whenever I have something related to a data and I'm saying X is equal to 4.5, this automatically means this I'm talking about the mean. Is this clear? Mean or X bar is nothing but sum of all the observations upon total number of observations. Okay. Please copy this down when we'll take an example then. Mean is nothing but sum of all the observations by total number of observations. Done. Let's say there were 5 workers who worked 10, 7, 13, 20, and 15 hours respectively. Okay. What is the mean? So find the mean time worked by the workers, right? So we already know what is mean. Mean is nothing but sum of the observations by the total number of observations, right? So here, what will be the sum of the observations? Let each of them, let's say x1 be 10, x2 be 7, x3 be 13, x4 be 20, and x5 be 15, right? So what will x bar become? X bar is nothing but, remember I told you this sign called sigma, which is the total. So this is sigma x of I ranges from 1 to 5 upon number of observations, right? We are going to study about this in the later class also. So what does this basically mean? X1 plus X2 plus X3 plus X4 plus X5 upon how many people are working? 5. So this will be upon 5. I'm continuing over here, which is nothing but 10 plus 7 plus 13 plus 20 plus 15 upon 5, which is 65 upon 5, which is 13. So X bar is nothing but 13, which means that on an average, all of the workers, they worked 13 hours a week. Did you get this?
Yes, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask one thing. Sir, we can, sir, without writing this x1 equals to 10, we can simply just add and then count total
Yeah,
number
but we have
of
to write
observations.
this
Then
formula.
also,
We have to write this formula down, right? To get marks. So we can directly from here, this one I have just told you because when we discuss about grouped frequency distribution, this kind of a formula comes into play. But you could have directly gone from here till here directly. Okay, this is also important because we need to write down the observations. Please copy this down, everyone.
Sir, can you explain that x bar equals to 5 by 1 x1 again?
Yeah, just leave this for now. When we do group frequency distribution, we'll do this again. What basically
Okay,
we're doing, I ranges from 1 to 5 because we have 5 observations, and sigma means total. So we take x of 1 plus x of 2 plus x of 3 till we reach 5. That's what we said.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Quickly copy this down, everyone. I'll come to this just after you finish copying it down. This is very important because this formula carries marks. Achira, what kind of data is this?
So can you repeat?
What kind of data is this? What type of data is this? Dhruti? Everyone's conveniently forgotten, right? There's no point of revising or remembering anything. Aisha?
So I don't know.
Sanika? Sanika, what kind of data is this?
Sir, raw data?
Exactly. Rest of you, had you heard of raw data? When data
Yes,
has
sir.
no sequence or has no frequency. This is the first thing we did in statistics chapter. Achira, what happened? Naisha, what happened? Dhruti? How can you all forget? So this example of this formula is only used when we have raw data. Okay. When we have group data or data which has frequencies associated with them, we have a different formula. Is that clear? Okay. Everyone done with this? Anybody still copying? Okay. Please always revise, quickly revise before the lessons. Don't forget what we have learned earlier. Otherwise, what is the point of learning? Take a quick revision so that you don't forget. Now, when we were talking of this formula over here, let's look at this in a little bit more detail. Okay. So we said that the sign is something like this. This sign is referred to as the Greek letter called sigma, which basically means summation. Okay. Now, for example, let's say we have 50 people who have a certain amount of marks. That is 50 people or students who get a certain amount of marks. So when we know the formula, we know the formula of x bar is x1 plus x2 plus x3 till x50, right? Are you going to write all of this down manually upon 50? Are you going to do this x4 plus x5 dot 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 till 50? Can we practically do this? What if there were 100 people? What if there were 1,000 people? Okay, so there is an easy way to express this. How we do that is, we write it as, because this is called a summation, isn't it? Aren't we adding up all of these values? So in essential, we are summing them. So we'll first put the sign for summation, which is the Greek letter sigma. Okay, is this clear so far? So we have x bar is summation of, what are we summing up? x1, x2, x3, x4 and all, right? So what is x starting from? So we are basically summing up what? X. Is this clear? It could be y, any number you want, any alphabet you want, but usually we say x because this is x bar here. Now, what is x starting from? 1 and ending at 50, right? So I say that I'm going to start at 1 and I'm going to end at 50. Okay. Are you getting this, how I'm writing this? But what are we starting? How do I know what value to put in here? So what I will put, I'll put another variable called I, and I will say I is equal to from 1 to 50. Any of you have done computer programming before? Anyone's done computer programming or looked at computer programming? So when we use loops, we do something like for I is equal to 1 to 100. Okay. So each time I takes a value of 1 to 100. So I will first become 1. It will do this. Then it'll go back here. I will then become 2 and so forth. Right. Same thing what we're doing is we're doing this here. Let me start it again with you. Pay attention. First time we're going to write it the sigma sign because we are summing up all of the values. What value are we summing up? We're summing up x. X starts at 1 and ends at 50. So I'm going to write 1 to 50. Now, how do I know what value I can put in here? So I'll say x of I, where I is equal to 1 to 50. So this is nothing but sigma x of I, where I is 1 to 50. So we will speak it like this. Sigma or summation of x of I, where I is equal to 1 to 50. So this essentially converts into this same formula here, right? And then obviously we will do upon 50. So our formula for summing up 50 numbers would become x bar is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to 50 and x of I upon 50. Is this clear now? Any doubts here? Now, if we don't know this 50 number, what we can always do is we can replace it with n. So the standard formula for mean becomes x bar is nothing but sigma I starts from always 1 till n x of I. Just a second, I need to scroll up. Upon n, because n is the number of items, where n is equal to number of observations. Okay. So this is the formula for finding out the mean of n observations for raw data. Is this clear? Please copy this down now. If anyone has any doubts, please unmute yourself and ask me today itself. Don't wait for me to give you some difficult problems or to ask you. Sharan, Dhruti, Varya, Yatharth, everyone clear? Ananya, Sanika, Archira, Arpita, Siddharth, all clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And remember,
Yes, sir.
learn how to write the formula down. So here, if you notice, I becomes first 1. So we take the first observation, then I becomes 2, which is the second observation, till we reach the nth observation, which is the last observation, right? Are you all done? Anyone still copying? Anyone still copying? Raise your hand. Okay. So please practice this. Start writing out the formula, and 14.3 start working on it. You can submit it by Friday. Today is Wednesday, so you have 2.5 days to go for that. So it's ample time for you to finish that. Fine, that's it for today. We'll again connect tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow then. Bye, everyone.
Bye, sir. Thank
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes, Sharon, tell me.
Sir, actually, it's in the other book. So can I send it to you in WhatsApp, the picture of the question?
Yeah, sure. You can send it across to me and I'll discuss it with you.